Welcome back. This is the Not That Paulie D show, and I guess that makes me not that Paulie D. Get it? Yeah. This is the 4th episode of my podcast, and I'm trying to do them more frequently, as I really enjoy this, and just the other day, I spent a lot of time, probably too much time, trying to improve my website and do all of the great things that I suppose come with podcast ownership and publishing. And I was able to do that. So I had a nice episode, I think. I did on Saturday night. Got some good reviews from some friends, and somebody even told me they laughed out loud, which is always good, because we all know whenever we say we've laughed out loud, that is just not true. But I guess he did. So I'm back. New website, notthatpaulid.com. If you haven't seen it yet, please check it out. I know last time we spoke, I told you that you could subscribe or follow me through that website. And you could, and you can still, but it's a little different now. So you'll just see a little follow this blog button or follow this podcast button on the right-hand side. And then you will get an email notification every time I update my blog, add a post, or a podcast, and hopefully I'll be able to add a little bit more than just podcast material and maybe some supporting material like that Facebook ad that I played last week. Last night, debate. You know, we talked recently about not talking about politics, and I'm now 2 debates in a row speaking about politics. 2 podcasts in a row speaking about politics, but I have to. Last night's debate was an absolute bore. It was a snore fest. I knew it was not quite as exciting as listening to Jeremy Epstein ask about his art degree and the other guy, Michael, asking about why his stuff was still expensive. But I really came to appreciate the town hall format after last night's foreign policy debate. Admittedly, foreign policy is not something that interests me all that much, and I found myself doing exactly what everybody else was doing when they watched the debate last night, and that was waiting for the next catchphrase or the next buzzword of the debate. So in the town hall debate, I think we all know, it was, of course, binders filled with women, or binders full of women, that Governor Romney said. And last night, it was horses and bayonets by President Obama. So, of course, referring to the idea that although Romney believes the Navy is smaller, Obama thinks that many things have changed in our Army over the years, including the fact that we have less bayonets and horses, less horses and bayonets. So, I'm watching, I've got Twitter open, I'm trying to learn this whole Twitter trending thing and the hashtags and all that. And I'm waiting. I'm sitting there waiting for the thing. I'm waiting for the binders filled with women. Because I'm going to be the guy that buys the domain. And I'm going to figure out how to take advantage of that moment. It happened. It happened during the town hall debate. Binders Full of Women became a Facebook group that had 47,000 likes by the end of the debate. I don't know where it's at now, but I'm sure it's probably died down. But 47,000 likes within an hour. So, I'm on this campaign, I'm on this kick to get social media going, to get social media promoting my podcast, and I'm ready. I'm sitting there with my laptop, and he says it, right? He says the phrase that's going to end all phrases for the night. Horses and bayonets. And in case you didn't hear it, I'll play it for you right now.
I think Governor Romney maybe hasn't spent enough time looking at how our military works. You mentioned the Navy, for example, and that we have fewer ships than we did in 1916. Well, Governor, we also have fewer horses and bayonets.
So there you have it. Horses and bayonets. I was ready. I was ready for it. Readier than I could have been. I had my computer, like I said. I had different websites open. I had GoDaddy open. I was logged into my account. I made sure my credit card was saved, so all I had to do was hit checkout. So he says horses and bayonets. And I got ready. I was excited. I went into GoDaddy. I quickly typed horsesandbayonets.com. I had to look up how to spell bayonets might have proven to be a critical mistake. 1 T, not 2. So I go horsesandbayonets.com, the correct spelling, I hit search, it's available, no problem, $12.99. Alright, fine, $12.99, because I'm going to turn this into much more than that. At the time I hadn't decided how, but I knew I would. I go, I start checking out, I'm golden, I've got horsesandbayonets.com, I hit checkout, error. Somebody beat me to it. Someone beat me to horsesandbayonets.com. And I think it's because I had to look up how to spell it. So, in the future, I'll be more prepared with a dictionary open as well. Unfortunately, there's not going to be another debate. There's not going to be anything quite like that where there's going to be 60 some odd million people watching where I can take advantage of a buzzword. So I did the next best thing, and I quickly switched over to Facebook, and I made a Horses and Bayonets group. And I actually got it. I got one of the first ones. Actually, a Horses and Bayonet page. There was a group also, which for the rest of the debate, I just kept sending links to my page on that group. I'm really learning the Facebook. So, at the end of the night, I was hoping to have experienced similar success like the Binders Filled with Women podcast did, page did, but I didn't. They had 47,000 likes within the first hour. I had an astonishing 72. That being said, I'm still proud of the 72. 72, however, is quite a bit less than 47,000. But it's really crazy when you think about it. It's crazy that I'm not the only person that was thinking that. It's not crazy that I was thinking that. If you know me, it wouldn't surprise you. Those are the kinds of weird things that I'll try. But it goes even further than a bunch of people trying to capitalize on these buzzwords. Literally one of the first things that was said by the analysts last night after the debate was, well, we've got the phrase that we will remember from this debate, and it's horses and bayonets. Not any comment about whether Obama did well, or Romney did well, or if they slipped up, or if they made a mistake, or they misquoted something, or if they looked more prepared or less prepared than last time. Nope. They went straight to the place I went. Horses and bayonets. Which really just proves to me that the news and the media that covers these events is really just as much of a crock as the average guy sitting on a couch trying to capitalize on a buzz phrase or buzzword. And I couldn't even do that. But, yeah, the other thing that I didn't like about the debate, and I haven't liked about any of the debates so far that I've watched, and I really think that there's an opportunity to change this, is that they can say whatever they want. There's really no way for the average person to understand if what they're saying is true or not. I suppose the moderator, this guy that I was pretty sure was going to die by the end of the debate, I suppose he's responsible for this. He's supposed to be the in-the-moment fact-checker with all his pieces of paper. Yeah, and he gave a little pushback here and there, but nothing really that helped clarify any of the contradictions that might have arisen, I don't know. It happened in the town hall debate. Romney said something like, we have spent 14% more on X. And Obama said, well, actually, we've spent 12% less on X. And at the end of the day, it turns out they were both right. They were just talking about two totally different things. I talked about my love for statistics, and I'm a strong believer that with any statistic, you can prove any point. It's just how you position it. And clearly they were able to do that. They were both right. There was no context. There was no reason for me, the average undecided voter, who's really the target audience, to understand if they're right or not. So what's the point of having these debates? What's the point of having a debate where they can just go up there and say whatever they want? And they can yell back and forth at each other. And going back to the town hall debate, it happened with the acts of terror, right? Whether it was determined to be an act of terror on day 1 or if it was an act of terror on day 14, and just back and forth and back and forth. And really, anybody that knew the answer was probably just biased because their candidate said one thing or the other. So the Romney supporters came out strong on all the social media outlets and all the news outlets and said, oh, we called him out. I can't believe it. We totally caught him on that lie. And then all of the Obama supporters said, oh, look at this transcript. It has the words act of terror in it. So, again, it was just total nonsense. There was no way to validate whether or not. And even that chick, Candy, I think her name was, who was the moderator on the town hall debate, agreed with both of them in that moment, right? She had the opportunity. They even turned to her. It was this heated moment where they were both going back and forth, and they took extreme opposite stances on this, and they both looked to her to get the answer. Which one of us is right? Tell me. And she had nothing. Absolutely nothing. She didn't contribute anything to the conversation. I even think she said that they were both right in different regards. So, who knows? I have a solution for this. I don't like to complain and not have a solution. So I do have a solution. My solution is that they need to bring back VH1's pop-up video. VH1's pop-up video. So if for some reason you don't remember what that is, this was when the music video era and MTV was really big, and a hit song would come out, and there was no internet, there was no YouTube, there was no iTunes, there was no Napster even then. And the song would come out, it would play on the radio, and then it would hit MTV. And a music video would come out, and Carson Daly would talk about TRL, and then there was the other side of the coin in VH1, where they had pop-up video. And they would play these music videos, and they would have little pop-ups that would come up on the screen and give you maybe a behind-the-scenes little, I guess, Easter egg about how they filmed it, or what that lyric meant, or where they were filming this, and it gave you the information that maybe you wanted to have. Maybe it was just information about the artist, or the awards that they have won, and so on and so forth. But all they need to do is bring that in to the debate, right? There's plenty of screen real estate. We've seen it. You watch an NFL game, there's so much crap on the screen that you barely can see the players. They've got the technology to do these overlays, right? They can do it. They even had tweets running across the screen yesterday. All they've got to do is put a little section to have a pop-up video. And I think that they should have like the theme song and everything because it's nostalgic. But pop-up video is something that they could easily replicate. And all they've got to do is say, nope, Romney was wrong. It actually didn't go up 14%. Or, nope, Obama was wrong. It didn't go down 12%. It doesn't have to be instant. I get it. They can't do this stuff immediately. But there's a 5-second or 10-second tape delay. And there's plenty of people that are just sitting there Googling anyway because they're trying to report on it afterwards. Why not report on it in the moment? That is what's missing. That's what's missing from these debates to make them valuable to the undecided voter. Because today the reality is they're just not valuable enough. Especially last night's. It was boring. It was the worst. So, I said I wouldn't talk about politics. I just talked about politics for 15 minutes. But it really bugged me. I'm of an age now where I am trying to be more responsible with my political involvement and understand that, maybe my vote actually does count. I live in Florida, which is definitely one of the contested states, so my vote probably holds more value than if I lived somewhere else. And I wanted to be able to make a decision based on who I felt was the best candidate for me. And I'm still not sure I've made that decision. And I was going to use the debates as the way I could help make that decision, but no dice there. So I'll continue to look through the internets, and I'll continue to do my own research and figure out what decision I need to make. So that's all I've got on politics. No more politics. Until November, when the election happens, or if anything ridiculous pops up, I probably won't talk about politics anymore. So, I've said it a lot. I live in Florida. I live in Miami, South Beach area, which is nice, right? You think of all the TV shows with South Beach and Miami CSI and Scarface, and it's really not like any of that at all. But it is a nice area to live. The weather's great. It's in the 80s. It's October. It's the end of October, really. And it's just getting nicer and nicer. it's kind of the opposite of everywhere else. The summer is just this ridiculous heat. It's oppressive heat. It's so humid. It's rough. It's rough to be in. And then as you go into the fall and the pseudo winter, as they call it down here, it gets nicer. It's breezy. It's not as humid. It's in the low 80s. It's great. It's a great, great time of year. Where everywhere else in the world is stepping into fall and potentially even winter in some areas. And I'm leaving that. So I've lived here for 2 years, and I'm actually going to be moving back to New York in about a month. About a month from now, I'm going to be moving back to New York. And I got to tell you, I'm really, really excited about that. Great career opportunity, family, friends, all great stuff. I am going to miss the weather. I am going to miss the fact that I live minutes from a beach. It's easy for me to get to a beach. There's a pool at my building. There's a pool at every building in Miami, but there's a pool. I'm on the 10th floor. There's a pool on the 7th floor. It's great. I can overlook it. I can walk down to the pool if I want. I can go back upstairs real quick. I am not going to have that in New York. I think I'm sure there are buildings in Manhattan that have pools, but I will not be living in a building that has a pool. That is for sure. It's expensive enough just to have a 2-bed or even a studio, or a 1-bed rather, without a pool. So I can't imagine what it would be with a pool. So I'm moving, and I've moved a lot. I've moved a lot in the past 5 years or so. Like I said, 2 years ago I moved to Florida. A year in, I was living in a different area, and then I moved down to where I am. So I moved. This will now be my second move in 2 years. The year prior to that I moved. I'm on kind of a cadence of moving every year. And yeah, unfortunately I don't see much of an end to that. Maybe I'll buy a place sometime, but that's another story. And I hate moving. I hate it. It's the worst. It's frustrating. It's hot. It's sweaty. You're lifting heavy things that are too big to fit through two doors that are too small. You're annoyed at the people you're with. It's the worst. It's expensive, right? Moving from Florida to New York is expensive and not easy. And that's going to be a lot of time on the road. But one of the things I'm doing now that is really frustrating is I'm going through the process you have to go through when you move of turning off everything and then turning it back on in a new place. So I've got my internet, I've got my cable, I've got my gas and electric, I have all of my addresses that I need to change, right? And then I've got to add all of that stuff to my new place. I've got to get cable, I've got to create a gas and electric account, right? I've got to switch all of my addresses over. I have to get insurance for my new place. And one of the things I've realized is that it's extremely difficult through all of these third-party providers to end your service, whatever it is, right? I would say that my gas and electric wasn't as difficult as some of the other things, but to end my television service basically required an act of Congress to end it. Yet on the other side of the coin, to start up new service where I'll be moving to, it was 3 clicks and I was signed up. I potentially could have, I didn't in this case, but I potentially could have been signed up for a 2-year contract in 3 clicks, no problem. Whereas to cancel the service here that I've had the entire time I've been in Florida, I've been a good customer, it took a lot of work. I was on hold for a very long time. I had to answer all sorts of questions about why I was moving, why I wanted to cancel the service, if there was anything that they could do. And I got the same story for my internet. It's kind of odd, I know, that I have different providers for both, but I do. And the same thing. And then now I've got to ship the equipment back and everything. It's a real pain. And all of it, turning it all on and getting new accounts is super easy. It's a click or 2. And now I'm starting to think, right, I'm in this weird entrepreneurial mode lately, and this is a business opportunity. I think you could really turn this into a business. There's so much painstaking, tedious work that needs to be done to arrange for a move. Why not turn that into a business? Now, listen, I've got a good job. It's not happening. I'm not going to do that. But for those of you out there that maybe are looking for something, I guess it's kind of just like being a personal assistant, but only for a move. Like a moving assistant. How great would that be if all I had to do was send an email to some guy that said, here are my accounts, close them, move them, transfer them, here's my old address, here's my new address, here are the dates, and I'm done. That would be great. So, if you're out there and you need to come up with a business, I think that's the business. I think that's the new thing to do. Unfortunately, I've done all of it, so I won't be able to take advantage of it for at least another year, I guess. But just very frustrating. It's stressful enough to have to move, but to have to move and then deal with all this crap is kind of annoying. Well, I intended on doing a quick podcast, and I've run just about 21 minutes. I thought I'd be more like 15. Trying to maybe do more frequent podcasts, but shorter episodes. I don't know. Whatever you guys like, just tell me. You can give me that feedback a number of different ways. NotThatPaulieD.com. You can comment on the post that includes the podcast. You can see my Facebook information there. You can see my Twitter information there. Follow me on Twitter, like me on Facebook, subscribe on iTunes. Again, click all of the buttons I have on my website. I'm even trying out this YouTube thing. Not really sure how that's going to work, but I don't know. I've opened an account and I'm trying that out. And finally, most importantly, make sure you follow at NotThatPaulieD.com. There is a button on the right that says follow this podcast. All you've got to do is enter your email address. You don't have to sign up for an account. You don't have to do anything. Just enter an email address, and every time I put a podcast out or publish a new post, I guess, you'll get a notification. I really appreciate all the support. It's been about 2 weeks that I've been doing this now. It's been a lot of fun. Many people have listened and given me feedback, and I appreciate the continued feedback. I do want to end with one last thing, and I'm not going to play this clip, but I asked last time a question around long distance, and I gave out my phone number, which is another place you can reach me, 708-8-PAULIED. It's on the website if you forget it. And I got a 3.5-minute rambling voicemail of some crazy person just reading from Wikipedia about how long distance rates work. But it's a little bit illegible. Google does this thing on my Google Voice where they transcribe the voicemail. It's crazy people talk. Maybe I'll post the crazy people talk on my website so you can see what I mean, but it's really, really crazy people talk. But I got the answer. Still doesn't make any sense to me. But I appreciate the feedback. So thank you for calling in and giving me the answer to the question I asked. Like I said, I'd be more than happy to answer questions that you all have on my next episode. You know where you can find me. Thanks again, and it has been fun. Have a good night. Or a good day. I guess it's a podcast. You can listen whenever you want. Have a good whatever's next.
A video.